hour a day in your chosen field, whatever field it is. If you read 1 hour a day, in 5 years you can become a national expert. Like adduunka dhamaala, Maraykanka dhamaala, people will invite you to come and speak. My first born son, his name's Omar, and the other one is Yusuf. So Omar and we took to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a beautiful island. So we took 8 days off. We were there. We had fun. So we were coming back. And I read a lot. So I read on average 4 to 5 books a month. So that book I was reading was The Psychology of Money. So I finished that book in 2 days. When we're going, I read half. We were coming back. I finished the other half. And it's almost 300 pages. So I read fast, but I've taught myself how to read. So when diyaarada marka la soo galo oo la fadhiista, I read when people watch, TV. My son has his iPad, so we come to the airplane and he wants to watch his Coco Melon cartoon, and the air hostess said, "Oh, we can't hear a voice. You have to put something in his ear." So we put it, and he's like, "I have to watch it, and we can't turn it off." So I put the earpiece in his computer and put it, but the geese were hearing, so the earpiece will not fit into his ear. So I have to hold his ears like this for almost an hour because he won't let it go. But I want to read. I have a book, like I'm trying to finish this book, right? Yeah. So my goal is to read 100 pages before we reach Minnesota. We're coming back from Puerto Rico, it's 5 hours flight. So I want to read, but I can't read. Like every night I wake up at 3 o'clock to read. Because that's the time everybody else is sleeping, because by 6 o'clock my sons will wake up. So you have to feed them, I have to get ready to work. At 6 o'clock, they're here to play. So we play or we pray together. So I have no free time. So when you're young now, I remember in my 20s, I used to sleep as long as I wanted. So sometimes I sleep on Saturday, Sunday, 11 o'clock at night. I wake up 11 o'clock in the morning. You haven't read a book, you haven't registered a class online. But now, if you're 20, you have no wife, you have no children, what are you busy on? Maybe you go to Dixie's 2 hours. Maybe you go to school is 8 hours. You still have another 6 to 8 hours to spend on something constructive. In 5 years, there's a study done. If you read 1 hour a day, in your chosen field, whatever field it is, if you read 1 hour a day, in 5 years you can become a national expert. Like adduunka dhamaala, Maraykanka dhamaala, people will invite you to come and speak. Like hadda, I have 5 pending invitations. One of them is to speak a professional group at Mayo Clinic. I've only invested the last 5 years of reading. So I study leadership, I study behavioral science like psychology, and I study relationships and success. So I'm getting invited to so many places. Germany, I got invited like 2 weeks ago because somebody read my article, the way Farhan read my article. And it's because I've invested, since 2016, I've invested to read 1 hour a day. So if you wanted to become Hafid, my younger brother is Qari, he reads the Quran in 7 dialects. He memorized the Quran by the time he was 12 years old. He's a pilot, hatta, with 737. But he's also a Hafid. He was in Chad recently. And he was praying and then we lay him. So every time he's only 21 years old. So what that teaches you is your mind is more powerful than anything in the world. Whatever you want to study, but you have to believe it. It's more powerful than the computer because we designed the computer, right?
Yes.
A human being designed the computer. So our mind is more powerful. If you learn to mind your mind, you can achieve anything you want in the world.
MashaAllah. That's very good.
One last question. You said the bar exam, if I'm not wrong, Minnesota, Oklahoma.
Yes.
How, were they different?
Yeah.
A big difference?
Yeah, there was a big difference because there are 26 branches of the law. Mm-hmm. So you can practice bankruptcy, banking law, immigration law, constitutional law, family law, consumer law. It's like so many of them. So Minnesota tests certain certain subjects.
Out of the 16.
Yeah, out of the 26.
Or 20.
So when I went to Oklahoma, they were testing 23 subjects. But I still failed with less than 1%. I failed with 0.03 or something. So I needed to get 2400. I had 2393.
Oh.
So the point is not the failure, it's the lesson. My mother left when I was 2 weeks old. That's a blessing. My father died when I was 12 years old. That's a blessing. I was homeless at 13. That's a blessing. Everything that happened to me happened for me because I learned the lesson. If you fail and you don't learn the lesson, then that's a true failure. But if you fail and learn the lesson, that's true success. Because success is only on the other side of failure. You have to fail first to realize what you want. So when you know what you want, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. You know you're not a failure. You just failed at something. A lot of people, they fail at something and then they believe they're a failure. So that brings them down. So like somebody said, oh, you're a failure. Like a lot of people told me I was a failure. And if I accepted that and said I am a failure, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I wouldn't be talking to thousands of people. Like my articles, he read my article through Facebook. A lot of people in Denmark, Finland, Kenya, people write to me from the refugee camps in Kenya, in Dadaab.
We're going to invite you in Kenya.
Inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala.